Hello and welcome to Study History with Mr. P. This is part 3 of my topic summaries looking at the nature of the Vietnam conflict between 1964 and 1968, and this topic summary focuses on the Tet Offensive of 1968. The Tet Offensive were a series of attacks on 26 cities and US bases in South Vietnam. It began on the Tet Lunar New Year, which was one of Vietnam's most important holidays. There was usually a ceasefire during Tet, and therefore many of the ARVN were off duty. However, in the run-up to the Tet Offensive, the VC and North Vietnamese did a number of things to catch the US and ARVN troops off guard. This included attacking areas just south of the demilitarized zone. The North also made suggestions that it was willing to consider peace, and then on the 20th of January attacked the US base at Khe Sanh. Now, the attacks themselves began very successfully and included taking over the US Embassy, the Presidential Palace, the ARVN headquarters, the radio station, and the airport. It was the nature and the scale of these attacks which was particularly shocking to the US and ARVN for a number of reasons. Firstly, unusually for fighting in Vietnam, cities were being attacked. In fact, the South Vietnamese cities have been regarded as some of the safest places in the country, but now they seem vulnerable. Equally, the attacks were on a large scale. So we're used to seeing the Viet Cong fight in guerrilla warfare, going out to attack the enemy and then going back into hiding. But now 84,000 or so communist troops took part in this attack, and this was a big change from those hit-and-run tactics of the guerrilla fighters. However, the targets taken initially by the Viet Cong were recaptured quickly, and in fact the VC were almost wiped out. However, the USA didn't know this, and in fact, particularly because of the way in which the attacks were portrayed by the US media, this whole thing was portrayed as a humiliating defeat for the US, when in fact the USA didn't realise how close they were at this point to wiping out the Viet Cong and potentially winning the conflict. So the Tet Offensive was significant for a number of reasons. It was significant for and in the USA, partly because US politicians were growing increasingly anti-war-like, and this feeling led to there being less willingness to fund the war, and was the main reason for Johnson choosing not to run for presidency in 1968. The US Army, well, some felt that with more troops they could now win the war, but others felt that the ARVN did well, so the USA could maybe now leave. And equally, the US public were feeling cheated by the government saying the war would end soon when it was dragging on, and the way in which this was portrayed in the media looked like a humiliating defeat. Americans were shocked by the images of the VC in the US Embassy compound, and this event led to a huge rise in opposition to the war in the USA. It also had a massive impact for North Vietnam. They suffered heavy losses. Their Viet Cong allies were almost wiped out, and they'd hoped that people in South Vietnam would revolt, but they didn't. However, the North Vietnamese could rebuild their forces. They also were able to use the Tet Offensive in their propaganda, along with the reaction in the USA against the war. It also impacted on South Vietnam in a number of ways. On the people, first of all, who were unhappy with the failure of their government to protect them, and it also showed that a communist takeover would be destructive. The government of South Vietnam was also worried that the USA might now leave too soon, but it also showed that they did have some support from the South Vietnamese people because the people didn't rise up in revolt and join the Viet Cong. So thank you for watching this part 3 topic summary of the nature of the conflict between 1964 and 68. Take the time to watch parts 1 and 2 as well, and to subscribe to my channel and look out for the other videos, not just on the USA topic but on the other GCSE history topics that I've posted videos on too. Thank you.